You're the one doing all the work. You're reading the books, you're planning the dates, and you're the one begging to talk. Meanwhile, your spouse is totally checked out. They act like a bored roommate who's just waiting for the lease to run out. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why am I even bothering? Doesn't it take two to make a marriage work? Well, the answer is no. That is a myth. And honestly, believing that myth is the reason that most people give up too early. It really actually only takes one person to stop the momentum of a divorce. It takes one person to change the dynamic. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to save your marriage solo, even if your spouse has completely given up. Welcome, I'm Brad Browning, the Marriage Guy, and for over a decade now, I've been helping couples pull their marriages back from the brink of divorce. And I'm going to tell you something that might surprise you. The vast majority of couples that I help started out exactly where you are right now. Rarely do I get, two people walking into my program holding hands, both equally committed to fixing things. Usually I just get one person who's terrified, desperate, and willing to do the work. And you know what? Most of the time, that's usually enough. So let's address the elephant in the room first. You've probably heard the phrase, it takes two to tango. Your friends might even be telling you that right now. If he's not trying, just leave. If she won't go to therapy, it's over. But here is why that's fundamentally wrong. A marriage isn't a 50-50 business partnership where you do your half and they do their half. A marriage is a system. Think of it like a mobile hanging from the ceiling above a crib, or a complex set of gears in a Swiss watch. All of the pieces are intimately connected. If you touch one piece of a mobile, the whole thing moves. If you turn one gear in the watch, the other gears have to turn. They don't have a choice. And right now, your marriage system is just stuck in a negative feedback loop. You push, they pull away. You criticize, they shut down. You beg, they resent you. That is the system that you're currently living in. And if you sit around waiting for them to change the system, you'll be waiting until the divorce papers arrive. But if you change your input, if you change the way you move, then the entire system has to shift in response. They literally cannot keep reacting the same way if you stop doing the things that trigger that reaction. So the first step of saving your marriage alone is accepting this truth. You have way more power than you think you do. You don't need their permission to save the relationship. You just need a new strategy. So this brings me to the first tactical step, which is identifying and stopping the over-functioning. Now, I call this the seesaw effect. Imagine you and your spouse are on a playground seesaw. Right now, you're the one doing all the heavy lifting. You are over-functioning. You're asking about their day, you're managing the emotional climate of the house, initiating the serious talks, you're apologizing for the things you didn't even do just to keep the peace. You're way high up in the air, putting in 150% effort. So where does that leave your spouse? Well, it leaves them on the ground doing 0%. And here's the kicker. As long as you are doing 150%, there is literally no room for them to do anything. You've taken up all of the oxygen in the room. Just think about it logically. If you are always the one bringing up the relationship, they never have to worry about it. If you're always the one fixing the problems, they never have to face the consequences. In fact, they probably feel suffocated by your effort. When one partner chases, the other partner tends to run away. It's the pursuer and distancer dynamic. You're the pursuer, you're anxious, you're leaning forward, you're grasping, and your partner is the distancer. They're avoiding, they're leaning back, and they're the one that's shutting down. So if you want them to lift off the ground, you have to come down first. You have to stop over-functioning. Now, I know this is terrifying, and you're probably thinking, Brad, if I stop trying, the whole thing is going to collapse. If I don't text him, we won't speak for a week. If I don't ask her how she is, we're going to live in silence. But it won't collapse. It may get quiet for a few days. It may feel distant, but you have to create that vacuum. You need to stop initiating the State of the Union addresses. Stop asking, are we okay every 3 hours? Stop trying to force them to read marriage books. Stop sending those long paragraphs explaining your feelings. And when you step back, then you stop being the fixer and you start being a partner again. You create space. And in that space, your spouse finally has the opportunity to miss you, to wonder what you're thinking, and to realize that you aren't going to carry this burden forever. You're effectively handing the ball back to them. You're saying, I'm stepping back, and if you want to play, then you have to pick up the ball. Now, while you're stepping back from the work of the marriage, you need to step up your emotional tone. Now, this is crucial because, backing off can easily look like sulking if you do it wrong. So we need to use biology to your advantage here. We're going to hijack their mirror neurons. See, human beings are wired to mirror the emotions of the people around them. It's an evolutionary survival mechanism. If you walk into a room and someone is screaming and angry, your heart rate goes up immediately. But if you walk into a room and someone is smiling, laughing, and relaxed, then your nervous system naturally calms down. And right now, because you're the one trying, you're probably stressed, anxious, and maybe a little depressive around your spouse. You're walking on eggshells. Maybe you have that puppy dog eyes look. You're pleading for affection. And every time you walk into the room, you're bringing a storm cloud with you. And when your spouse sees that, their mirror neurons fire and they feel guilt, pressure, and you feel heaviness. And no one wants to come home to heavy. So frankly, you have to fake it till you make it. You need to become the thermostat rather than the thermometer. See, many people in failing marriages act like a thermometer. A thermometer just reflects the temperature in the room. If your spouse is cold, you get sad. If they get angry, you get defensive. If they ignore you, you get anxious. You're constantly reacting to them. You're letting them control your emotional state. You need to be the thermostat, where you set the temperature. So when they walk in the door, even if you're scared, even if you're hurting inside, you project warmth and lightness. Smile, be casual, shoulders back, head up, and talk about something interesting that has nothing to do with the marriage. Hey, did you see the game last night? I just heard the funniest story from my coworker. I'm going to head out for a run. I'll catch you later. Just keep it light, keep it brief, be unbothered. Because when you do this consistently, you confuse them in a really positive way. They're expecting the heavy talk. They're expecting the guilt trip. They're expecting to get those sad eyes. And when they get, warm and breezy instead, their defenses drop. Their mirror neurons pick up on your safety and they start to relax. You're training them that being around you feels good. You're reassociating your face with positive emotions instead of stress. And ultimately, people stay in marriages that feel good and they leave marriages that feel bad. It's that simple. Now, I need to warn you about something, and that is when you start doing this, when you stop chasing and start acting happy and independent, your spouse is probably going to test you. Now, this is really inevitable. They need to know if this change is real or if it's just another tactic to manipulate them. They need to know if you're truly becoming strong or if you're just pretending. And there's 3 common tests that you need to look out for. Now, test number 1 is the provocation. So they may pick a fight over something small like doing the dishes or paying the credit card bill. They might say something nasty just to get a rise out of you. And they're just trying to drag you back into that old dynamic because the old dynamic, even though it was toxic, was predictable. They know how to handle the old you. They don't know how to handle the new you. So your strategy is don't bite the hook. Refuse to escalate. If they try to pick a fight, just say, I'm not going to argue about this right now, and walk away calmly. And test number 2 is the cold shoulder. They might ignore your new positive attitude completely. You might smile and say hello, and they might grunt and walk past you, right? And they're going to be testing your resolve. They want to see if your happiness depends on their validation. And they're just waiting for you to crumble and say, why are you ignoring me? So your strategy is just to stay the course. If they don't smile back, that's fine. You're happy anyway. You're the thermostat, remember? Your temperature doesn't change just because theirs did. And test number 3 is the it's too late comment. So they might say things like, why are you being so nice? It doesn't even matter anymore. Or you should have changed and been like this years ago. And this is a defense mechanism. They're afraid to hope. So your strategy on this one is just to agree and pivot. Don't argue. Just say something like, you're right. I probably should have, but I'm feeling good today, and leave it at that. Don't let them drag you into a State of the Union talk about the past. Passing these tests is really what shifts the power dynamic. So when you don't crumble, they start to respect you again. Now, I know you're thinking, Brad, being happy and stepping back sounds great, but we have serious issues. We have resentment. Maybe there's infidelity. Maybe they've already moved into the guest room. How do I fix that alone? And listen, every marriage is completely different. The strategy for a bored couple is going to be different than the strategy for a couple dealing with an affair or a midlife crisis. If you're not sure if your specific situation is too far gone, or if you need a tailored plan, I created a free tool for you. It's a 3-minute quiz that you can take on my website. Just answer a few simple questions about what's going on, and it'll give you a calculated score breaking down your chances of turning things around in your marriage, as well as recommendations on what you should do next. And you can take that quiz for free right now at marriageguy.com/quiz. Like I said, it is free, it's confidential, and it's the best first step you can take to get clarity on your specific situation. All right, let's get back to the roadmap. Step number 4 is the most critical component of the solo save. This is your personal evolution. Now, since you can't control your spouse, you can't force them to change, so you have to focus 100% of your energy on the one thing that you can control, which is yourself. When a marriage is failing, usually our self-esteem is going to be in the toilet. You stop working out, stop seeing friends, stop having hobbies. We often become boring, anxious, clingy versions of ourselves. We become the spouse and nothing else. So if you want your spouse to re-engage, you need to become the person that they fell in love with again. Actually, you need to become even a better version of that person. It's not about getting revenge or making them jealous, although those are nice side effects. Really, this is about value. In relationships, we're attracted to high value. And what is high value? Well, high value is confidence. It's independence. It's having a mission in life that isn't just keeping my husband happy or keeping my wife from leaving. If you're sitting on the couch every night thinking, why don't you love me? Well, you're displaying low-value behaviors. But if you're going to the gym, learning a new language, advancing your career, even just going out with friends, you're displaying high-value behaviors. So really, you need to get a life, literally. Join a club, start hiking, renew your gym membership, update your wardrobe, call some old friends and, just go for dinner without your spouse. Because when your spouse sees you evolving, when they see you getting stronger and fitter and more confident without them, it shakes their reality. They start thinking, wait a minute, I thought she was dependent on me. I thought he was pathetic. But look at them, they're thriving. Other people are noticing them. And this triggers a primal fear of loss. It triggers curiosity. And curiosity is the seed of attraction. You're showing them, not telling them, but showing them that you are going to be okay no matter what happens. And paradoxically, that indifference is exactly what draws them back in. You're becoming a prize to be won rather than a problem to be solved. And step number 5 is what I call becoming the safe harbor. And this is critical for when your spouse finally does reach out. Now, if you follow the first 4 steps we talked about, you stop the pressure, you keep the mood light, you pass the tests, focus on yourself, eventually the dynamic will shift. Your spouse is going to take a step towards you. It might be subtle. It might be a text in the middle of the night. It might be them just sitting next to you on the couch. It might even just be a small texture, a gesture of kindness, like making you coffee. But when this happens, you must not ambush them. This is where most people blow it. So don't say something like, oh, you're finally paying attention to me. Don't say, does this mean we're okay? Can we talk about the relationship now? Or, I missed you so much. Please don't leave again. If you do that, you punish them for coming close. You overwhelm them. You prove that you're not safe and that they'll retreat back into their shell immediately. Instead, you need to be a safe harbor. If a ship is coming into the harbor during a storm, the harbor doesn't jump out and grab the ship. The harbor just sits there. It's calm, stable, it's welcoming. So just accept the connection. If they sit next to you, just smile and keep watching the movie. If they text you, text back something fun and brief. If they make a joke, laugh. Reinforce that behavior that you want. Show them that coming close to you is easy, is safe, and rewarding. You're basically just rebuilding trust brick by brick. You're showing them that the old marriage, the one that was full of fighting and pressure and anxiety, is dead. And this new dynamic is something that they might actually really want to be a part of. And this is how you bridge the gap. You don't build a bridge by screaming from the other side of the canyon. You build it by laying one plank at a time, making it safe for them to walk across to you. I want to be real with you for a second. Saving a marriage alone is hard work. It requires a lot of patience. It requires you to put your ego aside and be the leader, even when you feel like falling apart. And there will be days where you're going to want to give up. There will be days where you want to scream at them for being so stubborn. Then there's going to be days when you feel like it isn't working fast enough. But let me tell you this, regret is much heavier than the work. And if you walk away now, you're always going to wonder what if. You're always going to wonder if you could have turned it around. But if you really commit to this process, you stop the pressure, you focus on your own value and change the system by changing yourself, you have a very good chance of turning this around. I've seen husbands who had divorce papers on their desk tear them up because their wives changed the dynamic. I've seen wives who moved out come back home because their husbands became the man they used to be. It happens every single day, and it can happen for you. You just have to stop waiting for them to lead and start doing the leading yourself. If this video spoke to you, please hit that like button. It helps me more than you know. And make sure you're subscribed because I'm posting new videos like this all the time. And seriously, don't forget to take my free quiz at marriageguy.com/quiz because it's going to help you figure out if your specific situation has any major red flags that you need to address first. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'm Brad Browning. You've got this, and I'll see you in the next video.